How do you do? Mr. Carl Lemley feels it would be a little unkind to present this picture without just a word of friendly warning. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now is your chance to, well, we've warned you.
I want to play a game.
There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
Talk about exhilarating.
Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, better lock your door. 5, 6, grab your crucifix. 7, 8, gonna stay up late. 9, 10, never sleep again.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of In the Round with Andrew Taylor and Lee. We hope everybody's doing well out there. We have a special episode for you today. It's all things horror, but more specifically, we are talking Verotika, Glenn Danzig's directorial debut. And with me here today is, as always, the former stunt double for Evel Knievel, Lee. How you doing today?
They used to call me Awful Knaffle.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. It's fun to be here. I'm excited to get into this topic of this classic horror cinema.
Absolutely, absolutely. We also have a very good friend that goes by the name Josh. Josh, how you doing today?
Not bad. How you doing?
Good, man. Hanging in there. Let's see. So we're here to discuss Verotika, Glenn Danzig's directorial debut, and we might also be able to touch on VHS, the 2012 cult classic.
Yeah, getting a little bit of compilation horror here.
Exactly. Anthology, man. I like it. So, Josh, normally every show we do a Just the Facts segment, and today it's going to be all horror Just the Facts. So
fantastic.
Let's get right into it here.
Horror.
Yeah. There's
horror.
extra R's on there.
Yeah, extra
that's
R on
true.
the end of that.
That is true.
It's horror. We're not, Josh is like, well, what about these horrors?
Yeah.
Hey,
This is a topic. Hey, let me crack the knuckles here.
I have $200. There'll be no negotiating.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's get right into it. The first fact I have here, in Evil Dead 2, you can see Freddy Krueger's glove from Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's hanging above the door in the tool shed. I'm sure you knew that because you are a huge Evil Dead fan.
Yeah, there's also references in there to the Hills Have Eyes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they got like posters in there in the first one and the second one.
Oh, wow,
They do a lot
okay.
of little tongue-in-cheek stuff with Wes Craven.
That's awesome.
In the Evil Dead movies where they're just hiding little things in there. And then,
That's awesome.
I believe Jaws has something in the background as well in one of the movies.
You know what?
Right.
I think in Scream, I think it's the first one, I think Wes Craven's dressed up as Freddy Krueger as the janitor at the school in the background or something like that. Yeah,
he threw like an Evil Dead poster into one of his
That's
movies.
awesome.
Like,
I like when they do. I like when they do that kind of stuff. When they throw a little shade towards the another series or another director.
The
or something
universes
like that.
collide.
Yeah.
I
Very
like
awesome.
it. On to our next one here. You guys like The Shining, right? That's
Who doesn't?
Oh, yeah. Who
classic
doesn't like
movie.
that?
Who
Yeah,
doesn't? Room
absolutely.
138.
Yeah, hey, man. So it took about a year to get the iconic shot and where the blood pours out of the elevator in The Shining right, but only 3 days to actually film it. It took them a year to get the actual setup to make the blood flow correctly.
No kidding.
Yeah.
They had to work on this prop for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Think of
Leading
it
up to it,
today. They could probably get it done in a matter of a day.
Oh,
Well, they have that studio now that does nothing but water stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, like where any movie where you see where like there's people standing in water in a room or anything like that, they have a studio that's specifically made to flood and to do everything with, to shoot all that kind of water stuff.
That's awesome.
So I imagine they would probably just go to that place.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, we just need you to dye the water red this time and throw it down the hallway.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it took them a year to do it and 3 days to actually shoot it.
Yep, only 3 days to shoot it.
Which is kind of weird. You know, when you look back at it now, when you see that movie, I remember I actually saw that movie on a big screen in a movie theater.
Yeah.
It scared the hell out of me. It was the scariest movie I'd ever seen.
And that's a whole different experience. Like some kids my age, guys my age probably didn't see these movies in theaters. When you see something like that on the big screen and with how loud it is and everything and all it adds a whole nother level.
Completely different.
Yeah.
When you see it now, you look at it and you're like, that's not that great of an effect, man.
Yeah.
It's still pretty cool though. Like, and that's a pretty iconic scene, honestly. So I mean, I don't know. That's probably one of Jack Nicholson's best roles.
Oh, it's in the top 5 by
easily.
far.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely
Jack
one
Torrance,
of his most iconic by far.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's
moving right along. You guys Stephen King fans?
Somewhat.
Well, we were just talking about The Shining. So,
absolutely. True.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know what? He was not a fan of that movie.
He was never a fan of most of the movies.
Yeah, most of his stuff he's complained about just ad nauseum.
So Stephen King's son, Joe, plays the little boy in the beginning of Creepshow 1.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the little boy in the bed that's getting yelled at by his dad.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a son. That's Stephen King's son, and then Stephen King plays the guy that turns into the
weed.
The weed, yeah.
Yep.
And then in the second Creepshow, he plays the driver of the semi truck in the part of where the lady hits the guy in the Mercedes Benz.
That's true, yeah.
And he keeps going, thanks for the ride, lady.
Yep.
I can't remember what the name of it is, what the name of that episode is, but it's
The Hitchhiker.
Yeah, it's The Hitchhiker. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Didn't they try to do kind of like an Alfred Hitchcock thing with him in most of his movies?
That's
like
what it
a lot of
seemed
the
like,
directors have tried to.
He's
I know
done
some of the stuff he's just been like, I don't want anything to do with this.
He's in Pet Cemetery too.
That's right.
He's a preacher in Pet Cemetery when they're burying the maid.
You know what? That he came up with one of the best horror movie characters out of that movie. And that's the one, what's his name, played? Fred Gwynn.
I can't remember what the character's name is. It's played by John Lithgow in the remake,
And he did a great job, too.
The old man.
Yeah, is it Judd? I think, something like that.
Hot Cemetery's there because of that role.
Yeah, and South Park.
Go down that road, dog.
Yeah.
And I think that was his, I can't remember which one came first and which one came second. Or last. It's either that movie or My Cousin Vinny was Fred Gwynn's last film appearance.
Yeah, that's
Was it?
And he was excellent in both.
They were right around the same time.
Excellent.
Oh, My Cousin Vinny is a classic.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Marissa Tomei won an Academy Award for it. Man.
Oh yeah, smoking in that movie.
Yeah, it was good.
Still, I never thought I would be like, oh man, Aunt May.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh, Aunt May. Let me tell you.
Hey, did you see the Josh? Did you see the live action episode of All in the Family they did a little while back?
No,
they
didn't.
They had Marissa Tomei playing Edith Bunker.
No,
she actually did. She did a good job.
She did, dude.
Yeah,
she did it justice.
Did she do the voice?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it was actually pretty good.
Was it
Woody Harrelson did Archie Bunker?
That's right.
Oh, okay,
They did an episode of the All in the Family. They did live in front of a studio audience.
I remember seeing the preview for that
and
going
the
like
Jeffersons.
Yeah, I just was like, man, that's gonna be a train wreck because you can't do most of the jokes those shows did.
Oh, nowadays,
today.
yeah.
Like,
It actually worked out okay. I mean,
absolutely,
it was all right. Yeah.
So, next fact here. You guys like the Final Destination series?
Absolutely.
I thought those were pretty great movies.
I've never wanted to drive behind a logging truck since I've seen one of
Absolutely,
those.
yeah. See, and we just talked about
That's
this.
my favorite. That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Was that 2?
I think it's 2.
You know what one always got me was when the dad at the end of I think it's the first or second one, tells the kid to go over and start the barbecue grill. And the propane tank blows up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And his arm lands on the table.
On his mom's plate.
There's you know what? Come to think about it now, because like with the movies we're talking about today, I'm not a big slasher movie fan because I'm queasy.
Okay.
So it's hard for me to watch them. But that movie, those Final Destination movies, for my personal self, really run they're not too bad. So I mean, they get some great kill scenes in them. They have great kill scenes. Yeah.
It was slasher-esque without having a slasher,
an actual killer.
Yeah. It was just,
it's not that I don't.
It's just death.
It's not that I don't like the slasher villains. I just don't care for all the blood and guts and stuff. I'm squeamish.
I feel you there. There's some of the slasher movies that I prefer are ones that have a little bit less of the gore and more of the suspense, and like Rise of Leslie Vernon. That's one of my all-time favorites. I like that one because it doesn't show you a ton of gore in there. It leans more into the suspense and the mystery of it.
Yeah, exactly. The build up, the chase, and all that stuff.
Hey, Josh, have you ever seen the movie? It's an old movie called Dr. Butcher, Medical Deviant.
Oh, God, I think so.
Yeah,
that sounds like one of the movies that I rented off the wall at my small town video store rent-a-flick.
It's what they were. It was horrible.
That sounds familiar.
That's I think that's how a lot of people get their start into horror. You know, it's all that stuff. Just going in and seeing the actual VHS covers and stuff like that on the wall.
Oh, absolutely.
And, that's solely how they were decided.
I remember there was one. I still never been able to find out what the movie was because it was so obscure when I was a kid. I couldn't remember the title for it, but I've been looking for it for years. And on the back cover, it showed the special effects, and it was literally a matchbox, like a Tonka truck, like bulldozer, and a twig coming out of like some of these like miniature dioramas that they made. And like the movie was about like mutant plants coming after people and stuff, but that was the special effects. It was it was miniatures, which was like I give them credit for using miniatures, but it was straight Tonka trucks and like twigs and cardboard.
You've never been able to.
I never been able to figure out what it was. It was just such one of those like just one word title type of movies that
who knows?
Yeah, it was done. It was dubbed, and I think it might have been French or Spanish. And it was, you know what I mean? It was dubbed over. Yeah, it was just one of those like it was on the wall in the horror section of the small town rental place, going like.
You ever like sometimes when you're like with all the streaming services we have now, when you start looking at movies on them, you don't realize like how many movies are made a year that just never make it. You know, there's just I got what's that VDU or whatever it's called.
Voodoo,
Voodoo. You get on there and 75% of the movies you've never heard of. I haven't anyways. You know,
there was some statistic I saw a couple years back. They were saying like something like 80% of the movies that have ever been made are just either lost or people don't know about or just, you know what I mean, sitting in somebody's shack somewhere. Like, in all these streaming movie services and stuff, they're just like, because we've got all these independent studios, all these old movies that nobody cared about. Like, you know, just even some of the major studios, they have tons, just thousands and thousands and thousands of movies from like the 40s and 50s that nobody even remembers because nobody cares. Or nobody's alive still that made those movies, so nobody cares anymore. They're sitting in a vault at MGM somewhere.
What's strange, too, is the talent that's in some of them. Some of them have got like A-list actors.
Well, there's some of those guys.
Well, it's not even early on. There's movies that are made in like 18 and 19 that have got like Morgan Freeman, people you've heard of.
Sense,
and you're like, and you're going, is this like an indie film? And they're like, nah.
So circling back to Final Destination, in order to film the premonition scene in Final Destination 3, which was the roller coaster,
that's a good one.
Scene.
That's a great one.
So the actors had to ride the roller coaster 26 times, and Final Destination, the whole film concept and idea is actually based on an episode from the X-Files that never got made.
Oh, really?
So that was the idea for an episode of X-Files.
An unused script or whatever, huh? I didn't know that.
That makes sense.
Absolutely. And I started to think about that. I was like, I could totally see them out investigating that. You know?
Oh, yeah.
But moving right along, one of the scariest movies, in my opinion, and probably in a lot of people's opinions, is The Exorcist.
Oh, yeah.
You know, hands down, that movie...
That's the first horror movie I ever saw.
People were fainting and throwing up and going nuts over that movie.
Even if the parts don't scare you, just like the psychological part of it
it was a scary movie.
Traumatizing enough.
Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely.
The premise at the time, I saw that movie in a drive-in when it was brand new. Mm-hmm. And it was the first time, I'd ever been to a drive-in movie theater. I think I was, when that movie came out in like 72, 73 or something, I was probably 5 or 6 years old.
Oh man!
Wow.
I went with my older siblings.
That's heavy.
You know, because I have some siblings that are older than me.
Yeah.
And I thought we were going to see bed knobs and broomsticks or something. Man, we ended up at The Exorcist, and they were like just kind of hide in the back. And back then you would cinema hop back. Yeah. You know, you just drive your car over to the other side of the
throw the blankets over the person in the back, and nobody cares.
Yeah. Not even that. You could just stop there. But when I seen the scene where that little girl start puking the green pea soup or whatever out of her. Oh, it was fucking Nightmare City for a long, long time.
Well, The Exorcist is Warner Brothers' highest grossing film of all time when you take inflation into account.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. Wow.
Of all time.
Of all time?
Yep.
Even thinking, I would have thought one of the Harry Potters or something would have.
And that's what I was going to say. And Warner Brothers has done so much iconic work, you know. Yeah. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, Batman or Harry Potter or something. Wow.
I got another interesting fact about a movie studio, and we watched Nightmare on Elm Street 2 last night.
All right.
Just getting things
Getting the
set.
mood.
Yeah. So New Line Cinema is called the house that Freddy built. As they were on the verge of bankruptcy before the success of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1.
Yeah, they were almost completely folded. Yeah.
I did not know that.
I didn't know anything. I would have to look to see what anything else New Line did prior to the Wes Craven.
It wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like, it was...
if I remember correctly, Wes Craven died pretty young, didn't he?
Oh,
he wasn't that. He's been gone about 10 years now.
It's been a while.
I don't think he was much older than 60 or so when he died.
No, I don't know what his age was, but he wasn't old.
He wasn't an ancient guy.
He wasn't elderly. Yeah.
He did some good stuff, man.
So have you seen the Paranormal Activity series?
Yeah.
Have you?
Oh, yeah.
So Paranormal Activity is one of the most profitable films of all time. The initial budget was $15,000, but it made a final worldwide gross of $193 million.
Yeah.
1.2 million % return on investment.
So
that and like, Dude, Where's My Car, right? Or like some of the like most successful like
it's crazy
low budgets. Yeah.
It's just that first one, A Paranormal Activity, was pretty scary. The idea of it was pretty good and all that. The alternate ending they had at the end and all that.
Where the cops come in and she's wigged out.
Steven Spielberg was given a copy of that movie because he was going to distribute it and all that, and he took it home to see it. And supposedly the story goes is while he was in the process of watching it, his bedroom door locked itself. So he brought the movie back into the studio the next day in a black trash bag and was like, I don't want anything to do with this. It's a great movie, but I don't want anything to do with this.
I wonder how much of that is true.
Yeah, it's an interesting story, at least, Yeah,
so 15. That's all it cost to make that movie was $15,000.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, because there's nothing in it. It's just a camera
static
in a house.
shots through almost the entire thing.
Yep.
What little bit of motion shots there were done on a handheld camera.
Exactly.
So it wouldn't have cost very much. I mean, you're mostly looking at just the editing, lighting, makeup, and then the actors themselves.
They probably didn't make anything.
Find a house to rent to shoot in for,
if you could have just been somebody's house.
A producer's house or something. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. Here's an interesting one. This will be the last fact for this segment. And I know you're a big Hannibal Lecter fan, Silence of the Lambs and all that. So Gene Hackman was slated to star in and direct The Silence of the Lambs. Hackman and Orion Pictures had split the $500,000 needed for the rights from the book. Hackman dropped out days after he saw clips of himself in 1989's Mississippi Burning, where he played an FBI agent.
Great movie.
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy movie.
Yeah, it is a good movie. I mean, he got out of it because he figured he'd already done one controversial film.
He said he decided not to follow up a dark role with an even darker role.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Can you imagine? Are you a fan of Silence of the Lambs and all that?
The movie, I haven't read any of the.
Yeah. Well, the book, not to coin an old cliche, but I saw the movies first, and you know how they always say, "Oh, the book is much better."
Yeah.
In that they're kind of different, but the original Silence of the Lambs book, before it was adapted to a movie, is basically the same. They followed pretty good.
Okay.
The follow up to it, the movie Hannibal. The book is completely, they become lovers, and Clarice Starling and Hannibal Lecter run off together. They become lovers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so
that's much different than the
book. The director of the movie said there's no way we're doing it this way. So they made it just this weird. Yeah, that's why it ends so weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, that was the last fact for the Just the Facts segment. And folks, we're going to take a short musical break, and we will be right back in just a few minutes. Hang tight. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for hanging on through the break. We are going to delve right into today's topic. It is all about Verotika, Glenn Danzig's directorial debut. It was made in 2019, and I actually went to the premiere of this movie.
Yeah, you got to tell us a little bit about this, because most people, I mean, I've never gotten to get to go to a premiere for a movie.
Yeah.
Let alone something as unique and interesting as a Glenn Danzig movie premiere.
Yeah, so they held it at the Ricardo Montalban Theater in L.A., which is an old theater. It's like, and it's tiny. It's literally one movie theater. It's not.
Yeah, you don't hear his name very often anymore.
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
He's been dead a while.
Yeah, that's very true. So, he's an old Hollywood actor and all that.
Oh, he's iconic. He was an iconic actor.
Like I said, the theater was built in the late 40s. It's considered a historical venue and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
I wonder what it was before.
The best way I could describe it is like if if you've seen the movie Last Action Hero, the movie theater in that movie, it looks like that on the inside. Like, it's minus the graffiti and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's all old and ornate and all this crazy shit. And
looks like something out of the 50s or the 40s.
Yeah, and you literally walk up to a box office window and they hand you a real ticket and stuff, you know, and it's the old school experience. All the chairs are mismatched colors and stuff from different old theaters, and, you know, it looks like it's not funded as well as it should be, but it's a great place. I would definitely
It looks like
back.
A historical theater?
Yes, exactly. But it's a great place. I spent all day down there in Hollywood just kind of watching the freak show. You know, if you've been to Hollywood, you know what I'm talking about. You go out there and walk Hollywood Boulevard, Vine, and all that, Sunset.
It's definitely different, man.
Yeah, and there was a metal show going on down the street, too, which was kind of cool throughout the day because people were starting to hang around. You get to bullshit with everybody, other fans and stuff, and
makes sense. Hey, there's gonna be a Danzig premiere up the street. Let's have a metal show that day.
Exactly, yeah. So, and it was on a weekend, so it was perfect timing. And tickets were only like $20 to get in, so it was like, you got to do this, you know?
The trip you took where you stayed at the Airbnb.
No, I stayed at a hotel in Rosemead, actually, not too far away. But I Ubered to the venue and all that because. And the funny thing is I was living in Vegas at the time, so I had partied the night before and was like, oh, man, like, I got to go to that premiere tomorrow and all that. And I woke up late, and it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, like, I got to leave now and to be able to get there in time and all that. So I literally only had about an hour and a half to chill out at the hotel before going down there. Because I wanted to get in line and make sure I got a good seat and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, the crowds had to have been just down the street. So, biggest premiere in Hollywood's ever seen.
It wouldn't go that far, but...
It's murder. I walked the red carpet with Gwen Stefani.
They had a black carpet. I will say it was cool, man. It was definitely a unique experience, and you know, the actresses were there and stuff. The Cleopatra had all their shit set up. And, which Cleopatra, if you don't know who they are the production company that distributed Verotika, the movie itself, and a couple of other Glenn solo projects and stuff.
Okay.
But they do a bunch of different metal stuff. When I interviewed William Shatner, he was using Cleopatra as his record label too as well.
Okay,
so I kind of put.
Wonder who owns it.
His name is Alex. I don't know his last name.
Okay, so it's not owned by some musician.
No, it's an actual independent label. So that's probably the cool part is when you order stuff from them, they still send you like mail and flyers and stuff with all the products on it and everything. And yeah, it's pretty sweet. They're a good group of people. Yeah, man, it was an interesting experience. Like he said, not a ton of people there, but there was enough.
Did it at least fill the theater?
Not completely, but yeah, but it's still, you know, I mean, it was really unique. It
was more for the experience of getting to meet.
That's the thing, yeah. And I had met him a few times before that too. You know, on various occasions, I had done some work with him before, and one time I'd waited around back at the House of Blues Load-In one time in the afternoon because I knew that was when the tour was starting off, and ended up hanging out with him for a little bit. And you hear a lot of stories about that guy, that he's kind of an asshole or, you know, maybe kind of standoffish, but he's really cool, man. I mean, I haven't had any issues.
Probably just like most people, like, if you catch him on the wrong day, it's the wrong day.
Exactly.
You know,
I mean, you've worked around a ton of high-profile
different people. Yeah, stuff. Sometimes they have great days, and other times, you know, people just want to be left alone. Like, just like everybody else. You
know? Man. But, so they came out, they introduced the movie and all that, and it was great, man. And to see it, what was really weird, and I think I've mentioned this before in this story, when we got there was people dressed up in costumes too. You know?
Like what kind of costumes?
All kinds of Halloween costumes and cool stuff.
Okay.
So, but the really cool part, and I really wish I would have got a picture with them, and if they're listening out there, I just want you guys to know you guys ruled. I sat next to a guy dressed as Ed Wood and a lady dressed as Vampira, and they were to the T exactly like the characters. And it was awesome. It looked just like something from Plan 9 from Outer Space or Ed Wood the movie from Tim Burton. It was like, man, and it was really weird. A lot of people weren't noticing it, and I was just like, man, do you know who they're dressed as? Like, Glenn's written songs about this lady, you know? Like, come on, man. But it was great. They were awesome. They even carried around the little movie clicker with their names on it to show who they were. Yeah. There was a giant scarecrow guy there, all kinds of stuff, man. And then, of course, all the Misfits stuff and all that.
Yeah, I would figure there were probably a bunch of people dressed like different Misfits.
Exactly. So it was a good time, man.
Now, in the defense of there being not a really huge turnout to the premiere that you went to, Glenn Danzig had premiered the movie prior in Hollywood, correct?
Yeah, he had done 2 of them.
Yeah,
and then,
This was the second one to kick
so this was like the
first
one.
He did 2 of them, yeah. And then he did 2 more. He did one in Philly and then another one in Chicago, I believe. So,
I know I saw something about a New York one.
Yeah, he did a couple of them, and I believe that New York one coincide with the Misfits reunion
that
shows.
Would make sense.
Okay. Yeah, so tap that keg.
And the Misfits actually went to the show. And
the actual band, the whole band showed up.
I wonder what their thoughts of the movie were.
Cool.
And that one sold out. That was at like Best Buy Theater or something. Well,
that's a stomping ground.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but I don't know, man. I met the actress, which is his girlfriend now. Her name's Ashley Wisdom. And she plays the girl in the first segment of the Verotika movie.
The one that had the eyeballs on her titty balls?
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll dive right into that here. So let's just get right into it. In the first segment of the movie in Verotika, the title of it is called The Albino Spider of Djet. And so here's the thing. If you don't know Glenn Danzig's background, he has a comic book company called Verotika. And they make all the anti-heroes. They are literally the misfits of comic books. So there's no superheroes, nothing like that. They're all villains. They're all gnarly shit.
It's a villain-filled world.
It is gnarly shit. Yeah, and there's a lot of nudity and just crazy stuff.
It's salacious.
And you can tell through a lot of these that they were shot from angles. It's like, okay, this looks like a comic book panel.
Exactly.
And you can kind of tell that. And even with the character, the albino spider in this one, he looks like a comic book villain.
Exactly. And I think that's what, I think if people had that notion going into it, they go like, oh, okay. It's still, the acting is still... Yeah, man.
Yeah. It's not terrible acting. It's campy kind of production is what it is.
That's the thing is like...
It's not terrible.
It's a little bit of both. There's the campiness of it, and then there's also some bad acting.
Absolutely.
In there too. You got to...
There is, definitely.
But I think the bad acting was intentional. I don't think this person is just a terrible actor.
I think some of them was.
Absolutely.
I think some of it was kind of
especially in the second one. We'll talk more about that one. I think there was a lot of campy acting that one on purpose.
Yeah.
But the first one, it felt a little bit more like it was just...
I don't have any talent.
It felt a lot more like just bad acting.
Great soundtrack.
So here's the thing. The first one, it's a Parisian sex worker with eyeballs for nipples and an albino spider that takes the form of an 8-armed humanoid that murders sex workers. Now, here's my favorite scene. This I gotta say this before I forget it because this is my absolute favorite scene in the first segment. Is after the first killing happens and all that, and she's freaking out. They go and they flash to like a street scene, and it's like all these people hanging out, and they're supposed to show hookers, and when they get to that hooker in the white jacket,
the pretty one,
she's pretty hot. Yeah, not gonna lie.
Pretty, yeah.
I didn't catch her name, but
definitely spank material.
Yeah, totally. When she's out there smoking a cigarette up against the wall, and the albino spider is in the background, and the dialogue there is just great.
I was gonna say
it was
the whole,
What do you want to do to me?
Yeah.
It was like hard to watch. That was
I was dying.
You back there in the shadows, and then it shows he's just lit up like freaking Abbey Field or something. Just like what is going on?
Yeah, like she's not looking. She's like, oh, that's meant to be possible.
Yeah.
The French accents were kind of like
her specialty.
Overdone. Yeah. There's a couple of them that like you hear. It's like okay, that's like that actually sounds like a decent French accent. Probably like a Canadian French accent, but like it's good. And then you hear the next person, you're like, oh man,
no, yeah.
Oh man, this person watched a lot of Pepe Le Pew cartoons.
The newscaster was exactly like
cops
that.
Were the best.
Yes,
that's
true.
The French police, they were the best, man.
Like I said, if you go into it with the mindset of like, oh, this is going to be one of those schlocky, campy horror films, because they all have bad acting in them.
Yeah.
And like, as I was seeing this unfold in the theater in front of me, and this is the first, it opened up, and the opening to the movie with Morella and the girl getting her eyeballs pushed out.
Oh, yeah, it was gross.
Is awesome. And I think
and the practical effects, that's the only thing I got to give the entire movie.
Yeah.
Is not necessarily the makeup effects, but the practical effects when it came to the horror aspect. Were really, really well done.
I thought so too. That's one thing I really wanted to touch on with this movie is that they did stick to actually doing the real deal effects, and to me that goes a long way in something like this, definitely.
Yeah. Now the CG, not so much,
not good,
so much, but the practical effects.
So moving back into the first segment, I think and I want to watch what I say because you never know. I might have Glenn or somebody get a hold
I can
of
see
this.
Glenn Danzig getting on you going, he said fucking what?
What motherfucker?
He didn't like what? You tell that motherfucker.
Yeah. With all due respect.
Oh, yeah. Well, Glenn Danzig's done great work,
He employed the most of the cast is former porn stars and shit like that. So you gotta take it with that. And, and that's what it is.
Did the movie to you guys have kind of like, I mean, the overall movie to you guys, did it have kind of like a Ed Wood feel to it?
Absolutely.
In a way,
and I was going to say
kind of
that.
like, we're shooting out here. We're not supposed to be here. Let's wrap this scene up real quick.
Yeah.
Glenn has actually referred to Verotika as a tribute to horror anthology films such as Black Sabbath and Trilogy of Terror.
Okay.
Which when I heard that, I was like, that makes sense. And I totally see... I saw a review one time because Glenn used to do reviews back in the Misfits and Sam Hain days for magazines on horror movies that were coming out. And when Creepshow came out, he just tore it to shreds and was like, this thing, for the two people that made this, I expected a lot more and all that. And I don't know, man. That's kind of like the tables are kind of turned now.
Yeah, a little bit.
In a way.
I mean, to be fair on his critique, like he had some good techniques in it, but like there were certain parts where it's like, brother, did you not know how to end this scene?
Yeah,
you could have ended this like 35 seconds ago, and it would have been fine.
Exactly.
Especially like in the third one.
Yeah.
There's really some sort. It's like what's
that one
going
drags on.
Yeah.
Bad.
But even in this first one, like at the very beginning, after the first murder happens, and she's running downstairs.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 of those shots of her running downstairs could have been taken out, and we still would have understood she ran downstairs to her neighbor's house.
We would have got the gist of it. Exactly.
Got the pony of the story there.
So I definitely do. Like I said, no insults or anything. I definitely do feel like there was a lot of filler in it to drag it out to 90 minutes.
Exactly.
So,
it was just some unnecessary like.
I wonder why they do that.
I don't know.
Because that movie would have been perfectly fine at 68 minutes or something like that.
And they could have extended the stuff with what's her name in between the cuts.
Yeah,
a little bit more there to do some extra filler, and I think that would have been better than.
I really wish they would have, because I think the character Morella, the host of it, in the comic book series, that's how it is too. In the stories,
because she could have done more Crypt Keeper style explaining it.
Exactly. And I thought Caden Cross, that actress, did a really good job, and the look was awesome. That character fits perfect and all that. So that was that to me was one of the best parts of the entire.
That was well done. That was a 5 stars, right?
Yeah, all those in between scenes. And stuff like
she didn't have much to say. They were pretty short there.
Exactly.
The one funny thing was those, like, you could obviously tell she didn't want to get the blood stuff on her. At the last transition, because she's like, as far away she can, reaching her hands up with blood on them, just as far away she can from her actual body. It's like, okay, so you're not bathing in blood, you're talking about bathing in blood.
Yeah, she's like, I'm only going to go waist deep here and get my arms kind of wet. Okay,
just going to dip my hands in and raise them.
Has anybody changed this shit since the last chick's been in here? We're all old porn stars, okay?
Yeah, this stuff is communicable.
These are just jokes, folks. Okay,
they're not going to hurt you, man.
But one of the things that cracked me up right out of the gate on that spider one is it goes into it like she's performing a sex act on him,
right?
And then immediately see his pants are completely zipped up, so she's like sucking on his Levi's apparently.
There's definitely some scenes, especially in that one, I noticed you can see the mic pack on her ankle in the stair scenes.
There's a few different places where you can see little things like that.
They just stuff that missed in editing.
Yeah, it does. It happens.
And that happens I mean, like, just Mandalorian had a guy in jeans standing in the background for like a major fight scene.
Yeah.
It's like, how did nobody see this?
Back to the Future, one of the segments of Back to the Future had a bag of Doritos in the bar scene.
Tombstone has a Domino's pizza box in a saloon scene. It's like, what the hell, man?
Game of Thrones. Starbucks cup right in the middle of the scene.
It is what it is.
What fucking mic op or somebody left that there?
What do they call those things?
Easter eggs.
Easter eggs, yeah.
See, and now the other thing from the albino spiders, I'm not convinced that guy would have left at the beginning. I think he would just say, put the shirt back on and we'll go from the back.
Right? Who knows?
I don't believe it.
Some people are into some weird shit now, you know? That's the thing.
If you took a woman's
She's
top off...
She's obviously had plastic surgery.
Yes.
This is the next logical step after the duck lips.
Right.
Let's go straight into eyeballs on the boobs.
I think if you've seen that in real life, I think it would freak you out, man.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen a lot of weird body modification things and stuff like that.
This day and age,
I mean,
probably be like, what are those tattoos or something?
Those real?
Especially working in like the strip club and porn industry and stuff. Like, there's all kinds of crazy people that do like all kinds of weird fetish stuff. So like, I don't know, some weird eyeballs in your boobs. That's like
overall, how do you guys rate the first one?
What's your scale?
Scale of 1 to 10.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for Glenn Danzig movies.
Okay,
I mean, I'm not rating it against Titanic or nothing like
obviously
that.
Obviously not. But, and that's the thing is, if people go into this expecting a Hollywood movie, you're going to be let down. Because it's not that. It's definitely not that. It's
like what Josh was talking about earlier. It's kind of, and you were talking about yourself. Yeah. It's what your expectations are going into it as. You know, if you're a if you're a Danzig fan, and you're a fan of the comic books, and you're a fan of Sam Hain, and you're a fan of all the stuff he's done.
A member of KOD.
Whatever, throw some guys shout out. Good to be back on there, or back on Facebook.
We're back, man. They couldn't keep us down for long.
You can't really, you have to remember something. I'm a few days older than you guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was a huge Peter Frampton fan in the 80s or the 70s. And when he put out Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band with the Bee Gees, and when Robert Stigwood made the movie, I don't know if you've ever seen it. How old are you, Josh?
Old enough to not put my age on radio.
Okay. Anyways, but they did a movie and it had a bunch of people in it, and it turned out there was no dialogue in the movie. There was a narrator and everybody sang their dialogue.
Yeah.
And even I was kind of like, well, it was a shitty movie, but it had Peter Frampton in it, man.
Another good example. Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park.
That was bad from the get-go.
What the fuck?
I'll tell you much. Verotika's a better movie than that.
I will give it that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That was like Scooby-Doo meets Kiss or whatever.
That was
they did that, which was great. Which
was that was a better movie than that.
Okay, moving on to the second segment.
Well, one thing I got on the albino spider though.
Yes.
So after the eye breasts, I was expecting the entire time when they finally showed him full body to have some kind of like trauma style, like giant spider penis or something like that.
Right.
And they finally show him full body towards the very end of this thing.
He's a Ken doll.
Yeah, and his costume's ripped open. You can literally see like the flaps where he climbs into the costume, just like dangling there in the bottom of it, and see his. It just was like, oh man, really for the final reveal scene, and you guys fucked up that one spot.
They were probably trying to keep it from getting an X rating.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe, it was just funny to me to expect like a trauma style thing, and then also it's like, wait a minute, you didn't even button the costume.
Well, with Glenn Danzig or whatever, it could be a hatchet dick or something, dude. It's just this weird,
I don't know.
An extra hand or something.
I don't know. What would a spider have?
I just expected some kind of weird trauma thing or something.
Well, like whatever, the CGI for the spider in the beginning too is really weird too. Yeah, it's like what the fuck, man.
Like when the tear on the eye, then it starts to mutate into the face, and it got weird.
Yeah. And the comics too, like you said, a lot of it was filmed how the comics look.
Yeah, and you could tell that some of the shots were actual panel shots from the comic. And it's like, okay, that wasn't necessary. You didn't need to show that second shot from this angle because you finished the dialogue and then you show an extra little bit of the scene. So
you know what I thought was?
I get it though. He was trying to do a recreation of the comic. It makes sense.
So you know what another funny scene in that first segment was too? Before we wrap the first part of the movie up, is the neighbor when she opens the door to the fridge. And she's like, there's like nothing in there. As you can tell, she goes, milk or beer?
Yeah.
There's like no...
There's a big gap in between those two things if you're going to have like...
Something to drink? Yeah.
Well, don't you do that occasionally when you go to the refrigerator? You go, I'm either going to have some milk and some cookies or I'm going to drink a bunch of beer.
I don't know, man. Yeah,
usually I'm not in the mood for one of those two things. There's usually like a big...
Not at the same time?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Moving right along.
I guess it just depends how hot.
It's like eating cake and Budweiser.
The next segment here, which to me this was my favorite one.
Yeah, the second one was mine too.
The middle one is definitely the best of the three.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
What that says, I can't really call upon your own opinion.
Yeah.
But I loved the opening shot of that. I was like, okay, this is an 80s music video.
Absolutely.
This is straight at 80s music video. That chick with the hair and the coat and the backlighting and everything. It was just...
The boots
It was a straight hair metal open. I was like, okay, all right.
So the second one for the listeners is called Change of Face. It's about a mysterious stripper who collects faces of other women.
And this is some of the dialogue.
Yes.
That started it.
I love this. This is great.
My face? What do you want with my face? Well, no. You can't have my... Well, if you're not going to give it to me, then I'll guess I'll have to take it from you.
Yeah. Dude, in the very opening scene of that whole segment, that whole story, I love when she's just standing there and you see her silhouette and with the lighting and all that, and it's the first victim and she just says, I've come to get your face. It's just like... Okay.
Yeah.
I like when she's standing at the wall with all the faces. She's all, there's room for another one.
Talking to them.
This is going to be a very large family. It's like, Jesus Christ, this bitch is
and what's
whack.
funny is they show her when her, like, why she's taking the faces. She didn't have that bad of scars.
No, they're not that bad.
At all.
Did they explain how she got the scars?
No. It was, like, a little bit too much personal history here, but, like, I had a really bad car accident when I was a kid and got, my face right through a window and everything and had to have some serious reconstruction surgery and everything. And her scars weren't even as bad as my scars after all the reconstruction surgery. So it's just like, what?
Yeah, dude.
You stealing faces? Crazy.
I thought the same thing. And then in the comic book, she looks more menacing in the comic book.
I can believe that. I can believe that. Because they wanted to keep, because she's a pretty lady. They wanted to keep, so you could recognize her. It's funny because they introduced her as Mystery Woman in the strip club, which we're going to have to talk about the strip club.
Oh, yeah.
But it just cracks me up because, like, she's wearing, like, a mask over it. And if she were to just wear that mask without wearing somebody else's face, it would look fine because you would just see her natural eyes.
Cover the scars.
Yeah. Instead, she's wearing somebody else's face, so you see like these weird bags under her eyes.
Got this leather face going down, looking kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep. You see the lips to the eyelids, like.
Yeah. Just don't wear the face and wear the mask, and it'd be fine. Nobody would ever know. There would never be a question about it.
Now, funny story about the strip club scene. I don't know about any other movies that I've seen with strip clubs in them, and especially the scenes. But this one just went on. And I know Glenn's a fan. I know he's a fan of strip clubs and big tit chicks and shit like that. But you gotta, dude.
I worked in a strip club for a long time.
Yes.
So it was funny watching that because I'm just sitting there going like, oh yeah, these are actual strippers. Because you got the one with the obviously paid a lot of money for her breasts.
Yeah, the blonde.
And doing nothing but just standing there with her top on the sides and just kind of like shaking a little bit.
Yeah.
Then you got this other girl who's dropping it. Like you can tell she's a money maker.
Yeah.
She's just dropping it through every time you see her. She's just shaking. She's doing something. She's like and then you got another girl. There's two others in there there's a scene where they're in the locker room. There's three of them that talk.
Yeah.
You can tell those three are legit
real strippers, real porn stars.
Yeah. They've done time on a pole.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. The dialogue in that is great too. The detective in that is actually from which Karate Kid is it?
He's from Karate Kid 3. He's the bad boy of karate in Karate. He's Mike Barnes. Which, if you are you watching Cobra Kai?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
You need to watch Cobra Kai.
He tells me all the time, watch it.
He's expected to be in season 4.
Oh, that's great.
That's great.
Yeah, so it was funny because I was looking at him. I was like,
how many people are going to be watching that and go, that's the guy from Verotika?
I am in a Facebook page for Cobra Kai, and it blows up. I mean, it is unbelievable.
That's hilarious.
And I posted on there. I said, I'm watching this Glenn Danzig movie, Verotika, and I go, in one of the segments, the cop is Mike Barnes.
Yeah.
And people were like, what's a Glenn Danzig and what's a Verotika? I got to see this. I'm like, good luck. Some of them knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I've seen that. Because they're movie geeks, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that, you know? And they're like, I didn't know that was Mike Barnes, but yeah, it was weird.
Okay, speaking of the cop, let's talk about the first scene with him in there.
He's terrible. Standing there.
All right, there's the 3 cops standing there, eating donuts and drinking coffee and talking about this lady that had her face cut off. And they have this, like, seriously interesting angle where it's them in the background.
Far back.
Yeah, and then the lady's face just pushed up right in front.
Yeah.
And it's just... it goes on for so long.
Yeah, the dialogue is pretty brutal.
And it was... this one made me go, okay, like, is this supposed to be serious or am I supposed to be joking in this movie?
Exactly.
Because the first one, the spider, almost felt like it was supposed to be serious, even though it was just completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it felt...
It was just so over the top.
Yeah, it had a much more serious tone to it. And then this one has a complete schlock tone to it. Like,
I think that was intentional.
I think so,
his
too.
acting, because I've seen that guy act in other stuff. He's not a bad actor.
Yeah.
And the way he
felt like he was doing an over-the-top kind of
I
thing.
think they were
like
doing
Tim
it on
Curry
purpose.
in a Muppets movie.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, over the top.
And that's the great part is, like, you mentioned the dressing room scene when they finally show him which way she took off.
Yeah.
When he gets into the dark and she cuts his face, the way he's like, you fucking bitch, you cut my face.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
She was just what?
That was pretty good. Yeah.
Mystery girl takes some lead.
You're not going to get very far with a bullet in you.
I'm not going to lie, though. She did look like kind of hotter at the end, too. I'm not going to lie. For a creepy looking
when
chick.
she gets like the Melina look going?
Yeah, and she changes the hair a little bit and all that, and she's got like a bullet wound and all that. You're like, whoa.
Yeah. My thing was like with the entire part with the mystery girl at the strip club, that part drove me nuts too, because it's just like, all she did was come out and wave her arms around like a lunatic with a cape. Yeah. And people are just throwing money at her. It's like,
yeah. You know what's interesting?
She got pasties in a cape. How is this titillating, exciting, or anything?
When she gets up close to one of the guys on the edge of the stage and he sees her eyes and sees like the
and he
layer.
Runs away.
Yeah, he's like, ah, like dude.
Meanwhile, people are like, oh, she did a bunch of coke, and here you go.
Yeah. I've seen that in strip clubs before. It was like she hasn't moved from the same spot on the stage. Yeah. I think she's frozen.
just standing there, moving one leg, and just kind of. Hands on the side of her chest and just kind of doing the Axl Rose. Yep, she's been doing some coke.
All the patrons in that scene too are all people that work for Glenn or are friends of Glenn. So
that makes
or
perfect
former
sense.
bandmates and stuff like that.
Sense.
Yeah,
like I said, I think that section of that movie was meant to be like kind of like. Like this is like extremely campy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it was shot with that in mind.
It was just so funny that it went on for so
Exactly.
Well, the whole movie does.
And I like
how it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
I like how they flash the DJ and it's just his mouth.
Yeah.
Shot. It's a mouth shot. They don't even give him the credit of showing his full face.
And they give him the right tone of voice.
Yeah.
But he spoke way too slowly for a strip club DJ. He should next stage next surprise.
Let's bring down Princess. Dude.
That was Princess on the main stage. That was the mystery woman.
Totally.
Get your money now, guys.
Yeah, that was my favorite one though. I thought that was hands down the best one.
Yeah, it was.
Only because the third one that we're going to get into next is it was just kind of long.
Well, and the thing with the third one too is if you have any background on who Elizabeth Bathory is, this is definitely right along the lines of who she kind of was.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Well, and before we go on to the third one, a couple things I want to mention in that second one.
Yeah.
Practical effects, again, really cool. There was one spot, I think it was the second person she killed, where she's like peeling the face off and everything.
Yeah, dude.
That was great. That looked really good.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, immediately when they show her again next, the cops are talking about her. Her body's laying on the floor there. Somehow her hair is perfect after having her face ripped off through the hairline. Because if you look at it the second time, the actual muscle tissue, which looked good in the practical effects, goes up through into her hairline.
Yeah.
So she would have had to rip her hair off through over her hair, but it's all perfect.
There would have been blood prints and stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. No, her hair is perfect. Like she just got done at the salon and had her face cut off and laid on the ground. Yeah. It was immaculate.
I will say I did like how when they did cut her face off and she was on the phone or whatever, how they made the blood seep through her face. Yeah. On the outer, seeping through after the skin had been ripped off. It was pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, they did a good job with the practical effects on it. I really enjoyed it.
The third one is known as Drukia, Contessa of Blood, which is another comic.
Yeah.
So it's based on a comic from Glenn. It's the same thing. It follows a countess who kills virgin women and bathes in their blood. And that is literally the whole concept.
Yeah.
And what does she do it for? To stay youthful, right?
Yeah, that's what. Well, Elizabeth Bathory, that's what they claim, used to do that too as well. It kept you youthful looking and all that, Which, people believed all kinds of crazy shit back in the day.
Yeah. You still do.
Yeah, it's
true.
I didn't like that the Danzig skull right in the middle of her crown. That was a nice touch.
Yeah,
that was good.
Absolutely. I thought, and I thought she played, what's her name? Alice Haig. The actress played that part really well. She's cool.
In relation to Sid Haig?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, honestly, I think it was really weird. The part that dragged on a lot. Not just the bathing scene, but when the hanging scene originally kind of dragged on a little too long.
Yeah,
they were really stretching for time on that one.
They were. It would have been good if it had been much shorter.
Yeah, a lot more concise.
Exactly. Because this was another one where there were a lot of unnecessarily long.
The wolf part and stuff scenes, like that, and
and even just parts of her her walking into areas. It's okay. We get she's walking somewhere. You could have cut 3 of these transitions of walking away and something. When I was watching it, I was sitting there going after they took the first girl and put her into the bathtub and everything, and they do that pan shot and it shows a couple wounds on her wrist, and I'm just going is this really the most effective way to drain a body? Honestly, are you really going to fill up that tub?
Yeah.
And then 2 seconds later, it happens where they slit that girl's throat, and it's a straight just
just crazy.
Straight out of Evil Dead projection of blood.
Yeah. Which was a crazy scene. I like that practical effect and all that. It was cool.
Yeah, but when they're slicing her throat, it looks really cool. Yeah. But then the Evil Dead amount of blood coming out of her was.
And I saw when this movie had right before it came out, he did an interview on Shudder with what's the name of that show? They do all kinds of behind the scenes practical effects, like how they're done and all that. And he came on the show and talked about all this stuff. And they did a practical effect with Glenn there where he cut the host arm off. Okay. And blood came squirting out. And he's like, nah, man, it needs more blood. So you could tell he's one of those guys like, I want lots of blood. Yeah. You know, because they showed them shooting the scene for the beginning of the movie with Morello with the eyes, and they showed them doing that too. And he was like, more blood, man.
And that part was great. I love that. Just when she's poking her eyes out and just like the tons of blood and everything.
Fingers and all that. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and the whole setup, like the way they had her like chained up on the wall and stuff was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
The props, some of the props are really cool. In the third segment, that's what I really like is that tub that they made.
Yeah, you know that's
awesome.
in Danzig's house now.
That's got to be in his bathroom, I'm assuming.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
It's just like, this is what I use every day.
Turn it into his hot tub, something. I don't know.
I would hope so, man. Yeah. You know, he bought Lucille Ball's old house, too, so that's got to be really weird. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, the decor look of it.
Yeah, I wonder how much he left original and how much he changed.
Yeah, so.
Well, I wonder how many people were in between Lucille Ball and him moving in. Yeah, and him taking. Yeah. Lucille Ball's been dead a long time, so.
Yeah, that's true.
So Drukia, like I said, is described as a take on historical figure and murderer Elizabeth Bathory, who they claim is responsible for thousands of deaths. You know?
Yeah, it's estimated that like we'll never know how many people she actually killed. It's a ridiculous.
And she was
amount.
actually a real person, though, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. I mean. It was probably my least favorite of all of them, honestly. I mean, the spider one was, I don't know, it's hard to choose between those two.
Yeah, I think the spider one is much better than the last one. The last one just it didn't have enough meat to it.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? We get that she's.
It didn't drag on. It dragged on.
Let me ask you guys this: let's say if they reversed the order of it and put that one first.
It might have. If they'd done that one first, then the spider, then the face, it probably, because they could have built the show up.
That's what I'm asking. Was it by the third one where you guys just kind of like, all right, I've seen enough of this stuff. I want to watch something that has, more production
crazy.
Because they probably could have condensed the last one down to a little bit shorter, and it would have been better. And then gone straight into the spider one, and it would have been like, okay, that's a little bit, okay, let's see where this is going next. Because you got a little bit of good practical effects, you got a little bit of story and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. Is I wonder if you would have, if when I was watching it, I was going, because just me, like I said, I'm a few days older than you guys, but I was sitting there watching it going, the first one was okay, the second one was decent, and then it got to the third one was just kind of like, I'm kind of tired of this movie in general, man. You know?
Yeah, that third one I felt like it brought down the energy of the movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering if maybe, like you said, if you might have condensed it up, shortened it up a little bit, put it first, the Elizabeth Bathory one.
Yeah.
Put that one first, then maybe the Faces one or the Spider one.
Yeah.
The albino spider one, and then I think it would have made a big difference in the movie, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think you would have, like especially with that's a good idea with the Spider one being last, but been like I'm in it on this weird deal here,
Yeah. And it was kind of funny, the costume they used on her. It was like a perfect mix between Evelyn from Masters of the Universe, the Dolph Lundgren one,
totally,
and then the sorceress from Willow.
Okay, yeah,
like it's like they used like the headpiece from her, and then like brought over like the Evelyn stuff. Like,
I will say that the props and the outfits and stuff for that one looked on.
It looked like
point.
It looked like they spent the most money on that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which this movie was budgeted at an estimated $1 million to make, so which is kind of crazy. And
in today's
standards, and I think Glenn put up his own money on it.
I'm sure he did.
So,
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it was his, or mostly his.
Maybe that's why we got so many Misfits shows. I mean,
Yeah.
Moving on to wrap the Verotika segment of the show up here. I wanted to mention he signed when this deal was done. He was signed for 2 movies, so he has a second one coming out that's in the can already.
Oh, really?
And it is a vampire western, and it is called Death Rider in the House of Vampires. And it's going to feature some of the people from the last one, but it's also going to have Devon Sawa, Julian Sands, and Danny Trejo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
you talk about a guy that makes a lot of movies.
Yeah,
check his filmography out, man. It is unbelievable all the stuff that guy's in.
Interesting bit of news here that I found out yesterday. So Glenn's got this movie in the can and all that. Universal has decided to reboot the Dracula franchise, and they are going to make it a sci-fi western.
Yeah, that's
unfortunate.
Well, they've been doing it for years.
At least it's different.
It is. I will give them that.
Yeah, but they're not just being like it's Dracula again.
And to me, it's kind of like they just jacked Danzig's whole deal.
Danzig is plagiarizing.
Yeah, no, and they've been.
What's the name of the one with Quentin Tarantino in it, where they all turn into vampires?
Dusk Till Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, wasn't there another one that it was Wes Craven or one of those guys did one with?
I'm sure John Carpenter did.
John
too,
Carpenter.
right?
Yeah, I think it was him and.
I can't remember the name of it.
Oh goodness, I'm trying to think of his name. Family Guy sings songs about him all the time. I didn't have a complete brain fart on this.
They sing songs about him all the time. I'm trying to think.
Yeah. James Woods.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wasn't James Woods in the John Carpenter one? Wasn't it was the two of them in like some kind of weird Western vampire thing.
I love James Woods.
It was like kind of a modern Western, but it was like he was hunting vampires, and I don't remember the movie exactly, but. As soon as I heard vampire western, it popped into my head.
I think there's a movie out that's like Abraham Lincoln is a vampire hunter.
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln vampire hunter. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then there's that one with
this movie was called that movie with James Wood. It was called Vampires.
Was it
produced by John Carpenter and all that in 1998?
Yeah. Okay.
Is it a good movie?
It wasn't terrible.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Recovering from an ambush that killed his entire team, a vengeful vampire slayer must retrieve an ancient Catholic relic that, should it be required by vampires, will allow them to walk in the sunlight.
Yeah, I just remember like some kind of weird, like, I don't know, maybe it was not a Western town, but it remember like in my head, I think vampire Western for some reason. That movie pops in my head.
Yeah, man. No, that's crazy. But
I'm a big fan of the Twilight series.
I'm definitely
But vampires
I'm
all for seeing
pussies.
Or Cowboys versus Vampires.
That'd be cool.
Why not?
Like Cowboys versus Aliens. Yeah,
underrated movie.
A good movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marketed terribly.
Yeah, that was the only. I agree with you 100%. That movie, that and Harrison Ford kind of phoned in. There's a lot of movies he did in that era where he wasn't really there, man.
He's kind of been phoning it in for like the past decade.
Yeah, you don't see him come out and be a
Regarding Henry, what we're doing here is wrong.
Regarding Henry was a decent movie. I mean, he actually acted in that movie. What we're talking about is most of the stuff he just kind of goes through the. Wonder what my paycheck's going to be.
He's kind of been phoning it in since
for a long time.
Fugitive.
Yeah, Fugitive is a good movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since then, though.
Yeah. What's the one he did? Yeah, I don't want to get off topic.
So wrapping up with Verotika, I'd go see it, man. If you're into horror movies, check it out.
Yeah, it's definitely worth watching at least once. If you like horror movies, especially if you like campy horror, it's definitely worth watching.
And if you like slasher, hack and slack kind of movies, bloody movies, gory
check
movies,
it out, man.
Yeah.
I would see what overall rating. What would you give the movie on its own? On its merits?
So like I said, I'm a huge Danzig fan. I'll be biased and all that. I saw it in a theater too, so it made it hit a little different for me. I'll give it a 7.
On a scale of like Mono's Hands of Fate to Evil Dead 2?
Yeah.
I'd probably give it like a Friday the 13th Part 3.
That works. No, absolutely.
It's not the best movie ever, but
it's funny that you say that because that's my favorite. That's my favorite installment in Friday the 13th.
It's a good movie.
Mine's Part 7.
It's not the best of the Final Fantasy or the horror movies, but it's one of those no, I'd watch that. It's a solid movie. I'd watch it.
Josh, I saw that in the movie theaters because that movie originally came out in 3D.
Yeah.
They had the Tommy Chong looking dude smoking a bong in it and all that.
It's kind of like the Nightmare on Elm Street 3D one. Like it's not the best of the series. It's still solid.
My favorite Nightmare on Elm Street is the third installment. The one that had the shocking soundtrack. Yeah. I just thought it was a great movie. I was in love with whatever Arquette's sister that is in that movie when she was young.
Oh, God. I can't remember.
I can't remember what she's in Little Nicky, too.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think it's Patricia Arquette. Am I saying that right?
Arquette,
yeah. And I had a crush. I was crushed on her, and I thought Dream Warriors was a great movie. But
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, moving on to the next movie we have here that we're going to touch on.
Oh, yes.
This movie is crazy, and I loved it, man. It was awesome. VHS. It was released in 2012, an American anthology horror film. You actually got me to watch this one, Josh. So it's pretty crazy, man.
Are you a big fan of the movie?
Yeah, I like the VHS. I just like horror movies. And so when I saw this one, it was such a refreshing, I hadn't seen an anthology film for a while, anything that was decent horror-wise. And just this one just kind of, or I guess compilation, not anthology, however you want to say it. Anyway, but it hit me because it was set up kind of like a lost footage movie, which were super, super, super big at the time. Mm-hmm. and had been for a little while before that.
Kind of like Blair Witch almost.
Yeah, Blair Witch and the we were talked about earlier, Paranormal Activity, stuff like that. Those lost footage types of things. And this is kind of like that, but it was such a unique twist on it, to where it's like it's just these guys breaking into a house and like, they're videotaping themselves breaking in, and then they're like, "What the hell are all these movies?"
Which bad idea. If you're going to commit a crime, don't have the camera rolling.
Yeah. And so it's kind of a neat concept. Like, okay, we're just going to pop this one. What is this?
Yeah.
And what is this one?
And that's what I liked, is how it transitioned like that. It was each guy going up there watching a different tape.
Yeah.
And it was like, and it was something seriously fucked up.
Yeah.
The initial, start of the movie is the guys filming going out, hanging out at the bar and all that, picking up on chicks. They're trying to get chicks back to the room so they can film them, banging it out and all that. So
it starts off with them assaulting women. Where they grab the lady and they pull her top up and they film her.
That's true.
It does.
It's like a thrill seeker.
It starts out with a bunch of guys that you're like, okay, I'm ready to see these guys get brutally murdered.
Yeah, I was hoping that in the parking garage scene initially, I was like, maybe some crazy shit's gonna go down. Some guy just
somebody throws them in their trunk or something.
Yeah, right then and there. Yeah, and just takes off.
Oh, I like the premise of it. I thought that was great.
Yeah. The crazy part is in that scene, they go to a bar and all that. They go out, and their buddy's wearing a pair of glasses with a camera on.
Yeah, little spy cam glasses.
Straight spy shit. Yeah. So they go to that bar, and when they're hanging out, I don't want to call him the nerdy guy of the group. He's just,
the milquetoast guy.
He's that guy of the group. Yeah. So, he's hanging out, and as the night progresses, the drinks are flowing, and you can tell by his voice he's getting drunk, man. Yeah. The chick he meets at the bar, dude. You don't think about it at the time when they first show her, but the way she's dressed and the way she looks and all that, and the way the events transpire in the first segment, everything starts to add up way after the fact.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, shit.
Yeah, she's super out of place, but you don't kind of question it at the time just because
you don't think about it at all. Yeah.
Because you're kind of seeing this guy getting shot down and like kind of doing this thing, and then all of a sudden somebody's responded to him. So you're like, oh, at least thank God this guy's not completely worthless.
It's crazy, especially like when they leave the bar. They leave and they're all outside with a group of people talking, and this chick is just sitting down at like the edge of a tree, on the side of the road. And like when they go to sit next to her or approach her, she jumps up all quick, all like weird, acting totally strange. So, when they're driving back to the hotel room with the two chicks, they obviously take the weird chick with them.
Yeah.
Because who wouldn't?
Who hasn't been in that situation?
Right? Yeah. Weird chick from a bar.
I'm not guilty.
Yeah.
I wonder if she's crazy like it says on her bracelet.
I thought it was really crazy how, lo and behold, a little spoiler alert here, they're doing bumps with a vampire in the car.
Yeah.
On the way to the hotel room.
Yeah, that was weird.
I don't know if that had anything to bear, how weird it got.
I wondered if Dracula was a cokehead. That's how he stayed up all night.
Why he's so pale and skinny, man? Yeah.
And he was so white,
Also begs the question, would a vampire get more effect from snorting cocaine or drinking your blood after you snorted the cocaine?
Right? Yeah. How would that work?
Any other
drug you have in your system.
Yeah. Like, would the vampire process it better by doing it or by sucking your blood after you've done it?
And what if you have AIDS? And then the vampire,
Vampire AIDS.
That's a whole different...
Wait a minute.
That's why we haven't seen a vampire since the 80s.
What do you mean I have AIDS? I'm not even a homosexual. Of course you're not, Mr. Dracula.
That's what they all say. They're jokes. They're jokes.
Biggest loss of the 80s, the vampires. They all succumbed to the club culture of the 80s and died.
Yeah, they brought them back in the 2000s.
That's true. So back to the scene, the opening segment of the movie. They get this chick back to the hotel room. They get two of them back there. One of them ends up passing out on the guy. So he goes over to the weird chick and he's trying to make a move, right? Stuff starts happening, right? She takes her dress off. Homie with the fucking spy glasses on sees the first sign. That's the very first red flag. That should have been immediate. Just turn around and leave, bro. Right now. Screw the other guys. Get the fuck out of there. He sees her feet. And they're like, I don't even know how to describe them, dude.
Yeah.
Like, they're fucking wretched, dude. Just, I don't even know what you call it. Like zombie?
Yeah, I don't even know, dude.
Yeah. They were like...
Obviously somebody that doesn't wear shoes a lot.
Yes. They were gray and like, I don't even know, man.
Maybe she was a dancer.
I don't know.
Because smash toe is a deal breaker for all guys.
Yeah. Not for these guys.
Yeah, these guys
this dude seen it and went to the bathroom and was like trying to get his bearings together to go do the deed and all that. And the other guy's laughing on the couch and one guy's making a move on the vampire chick. Dude, when she gets on top of him, like how quick she did, that's when you start going like I turned into Chef's parents from South Park. That bitch is a succubus, you know? Like,
it gets pretty bad from there on. Have you seen the sequel?
Yeah, there's actually two of them. There's VHS 2 and there's VHS Viral.
Oh,
okay.
wow.
I saw we have VHS 2 on one of the servers.
Have to check it out.
Yeah, and then
are they worth seeing?
I think so. If you like the first one, I definitely think the second and third were like they're not as.
They don't get better?
Well, it's one of those things that's hard to say like that because there's so many individual ones.
Yeah.
It's like in the first one, the vampire one is by far my favorite.
Yeah.
I like
so they don't follow the storyline then, huh?
No, like the second one, it's a completely different group of people finding videos.
Gotcha.
And then the third one, it's not even finding VHS tapes. It's finding like a computer that's got all kinds of stuff on it.
They moved to DVDs, huh?
Like we're living the now, man.
Well, it's kind of like one of those things like dark web, kind of. You know what I mean? Just that kind of aspect to it. So.
Obviously, the movie's made a little bit of money, man.
Well, they're not much. They don't cost much to make.
Yeah,
because again, it's that found footage type of thing where it's you're using handy cams and shaky cams and shit, and you're making it in a hotel room at a
absolutely. This movie only in the box office made 1.9 million.
That's nothing.
So,
but these movies were huge cult classics. They're one of those things where they went on video
That's
and people
started
buying.
That's what going to end up being too.
I mean, they did well at Sundance Film and stuff like that in different festivals. So
and that's how I found out about the first one was from film festival stuff.
Which, believe it or not, the last movie we talked about actually, it kind of surprised me. It had little awards on the front of it, and I was like, hey, man, are these real? Like, are you just bullshitting us? But anyways, in the first segment, the whole vampire bit, I love the take on it and all that. And honestly, like, other than the fucked up feet, she was kind of hot when she turned into the vampire. It was like, shit, yeah.
And she was biting the guy's dick off and stuff.
That got crazy too. Yeah. That was probably one of the most brutal parts of that whole scene is when that happens. She straight rips this guy's dick and balls off. And
she's biting his throat, and then reaches down between his legs and just rips everything straight out.
Like this.
And what I didn't understand is when he came running into the bathroom and the other guy was in the bathroom hiding already, and he had a chunk of his hand bit off and all that. He grabs the shower rack pole like that's actually gonna do anything. Like, dude, we're dealing with a fucking demon, bro. Okay,
demon here,
this is a fucking That's shit.
That hollow ass square thing off the wall ain't gonna do anything.
Like
you literally barely grab it if you're slipping it, and they snap in half.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact this lady is flying into the ceiling.
Yeah. And she literally jumped off the bed with your homie while sitting on top of him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah.
But the crazy part to me was the sound she was making. And then earlier on in the movie, when they first show her, she has like an indent on her head. Like right in the forehead, right down the middle of it. And you're like, what the fuck? Maybe, I don't know. That's just weird. Maybe it's like one of those, got a weird forehead vein or whatever. I don't know. And I see, chicks, they get some weird stuff sometimes. Anyways.
Yeah, by the end?
Yeah.
That's a serious gap in the forehead.
Yeah. When you see go and watch the footage, go watch the movie, and like this indenture on her head opens up like another mouth or something. I don't know what it is. It looks like a mouth or I don't know. Like, it's a whole nother thing. But I've never seen a vampire that looked like this, portrayed like this in another movie.
Was she supposed to be a vampire? Or just some kind of a demon, or I took it as to be some kind of a demon.
Yeah, I always took it as like a succubus vampire, like just take your pick kind of thing. It's
just a monster.
Yeah, what's kind of nice about these movies is kind of open term interpretation.
Yeah,
so like ones where they're like a monster thing, it's like, okay, was it a vampire? Was it a demon? Was it a succubus? Was you know what I mean? Like, whatever.
I think the craziest part is when the guy gets away, the guy with the glasses gets away, and he gets down to the stairs, and he fucking hurts himself. He's got a bone sticking out.
Yeah, falls down and breaks his arm and everything.
And the chick, the most frightening shit is when you hear that door open from the top of the stairwell, and you can hear her, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like, this she's following you, dude. And when she's at the top of the flight of the stairs looking at him, like kneeling down on her legs and all that, and then long story short, she ends up trying to blow this guy while he's all like hurt and stuff, and it does not work. And she does not like the fact that he's not
responsive.
Yeah, so he runs out the door eventually, and there's people outside like normal nighttime shit, and he runs into a dark space, and this bitch flies off with him.
I remember that. Does she drop him too, doesn't she?
It's intense, dude.
Well, the glasses fall off.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, you're left to, does she take off with him? Does she eat
some
him?
other realm?
Like, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, he could be her sex slave in her
That's
magic
what I like to believe.
Cave.
I
want to believe they ran off and got married and everything worked out well, and she calmed down a lot.
He got a job at Enterprise.
It was the cocaine that she was doing.
Makes perfect sense.
Moving along to the next part of that movie, one thing I want to say is the guy sitting in the chair in the background in the room full of VHSs and shit. It's just like, like there's something with this character, but they don't show it for a while. And
nothing. Like you don't get anything out of it. It's just, you're just like sitting there going like that. Something's going to go on. Something's going to happen.
Like
something's going to happen.
He ain't dead. But so I don't know.
It pays off eventually.
Absolutely.
But every time there's a transition between the stories, you're just like, whoa.
That's what I love how they transitioned is like they'd go back up there. Someone would go up there to check on the other friend watching a tape.
Yeah.
And that friend would be gone completely. They'd be like, okay, what the fuck, And they wouldn't think anything of it.
That's when you leave.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And
but you leave, you have no movie.
Very true. So when they sit back down, what was the second one going into it? That was the...
Oh, man, it's been a while. I can't remember the order.
Because they had the one where the chick slices her boyfriend's throat.
Yeah.
And all that.
That was the last couple,
one.
Yeah, the couple that are doing their vacation. There's the one where the girl is taking her friends up to the forest.
Yeah, kind of like a Jason type.
She's trying to kill the guy that was trying to kill all her friends. That was actually the best of the three in my opinion. I like that one the best.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah, see, that one's probably my least favorite because I felt like they could have done more with that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that one, it felt like it was just like it wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong. I like it. I felt like there was something else that it needed it to finally kind of bring it all together. They didn't explain
the actual character that was trying to kill
there was something that was just missing a little bit.
They should have showed him better too. They should have showed because every time he got close, the camera would get all wonky, the feed and all that. He had some electrical.
That electrical thing where you can't see his face and stuff.
It was kind of annoying. Like I want to see this guy. Dude, to me, in those movies, like you want to see the monster, you want to see the bad guy. You got to see him.
Maybe that's just what it was. It was the just no payoff whatsoever for whatever was happening. It was that weird camera.
I did like the scene where she like got back to the guy over there and was like, "Do you want to fuck?" and all that, just straight up about it. You're like, "What? What is going on here? Like, don't do it, brother.
Yeah.
Don't.
This is set up. This is a setup.
Yeah, I smell a fucking slasher.
There's a cop behind that tree. She's gonna ask you for money.
Yep. I just want to make one thing clear. I thought the cop was a prostitute.
I like the way he shakes his head at the end. He goes,
like, yep,
that's what I did.
The other one in the movie that was pretty interesting that I thought was really funny is the group of stupid teenage guys that were hanging out and they're going to like some party. And they end up going to an actual haunted house that's really fucking haunted.
That's crazy haunted. Like not letting them out of the house.
Yeah, that was weird.
That one was cool. I like that one because it was. I shouldn't say a unique concept because I've seen other things do that before. Like just any of your Scooby and the Gang type.
Well, they were doing like some kind of they were trying to kill some kind of a monster or something.
Well, they thought when they got there it was like a party house, and then as they were going through each room and crazy shit was happening, they're like, "Oh, if this is such a kick-ass haunted house. They did a good job." Blah blah blah. And then they go upstairs, and there's those people with that chick chained up, and they're all yelling like, I don't even know what they're doing. It's like some religious kind of shit.
Yeah, some kind of crazy.
She was the bad thing, though. They were trying to kill her.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that ended up being that. They eventually get her out of the house, and the crazy part to me was when she screams in the car. And she's fucking gone. They're like, whoa. And they look ahead and she's standing there.
She runs the train into him,
Yeah, the little doors all lock and shit. That I didn't see that coming for nothing, man.
Like, that one was good. I like that one a lot. That's probably my second favorite of the thing other than the vampire succubus lady kind of
absolutely.
That was just like when they're running through parts of the house and like the windows are sealing and like all that kind of stuff, like crazy
hands coming out of the wall,
doorknobs sucking back into the doors and stuff like that was neat.
That one was intense. What was the other one that they had with the little boy and the lady that kept seeing the little boy and the kids and stuff? Yeah, that was pretty crazy too. While she was on the call with the guy. Yeah, and then ends up he's harvesting her or whatever, basically.
Yeah, he's harvesting women.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I didn't expect to see that twist either in that one, honestly. And like about halfway through, he was like, that guy's the bad guy. Like, oh shit. Like he's gonna be the bad guy.
The boyfriend's the bad guy.
He's done this before, man.
Yeah. What's that behind you?
Yeah.
Look at it real quick.
So what's our next Oprah? What's our next assignment? What are we doing next here? What's our next read?
Man. No. It's really funny. We did a horror episode about a while back, about a year ago, almost to the day. Man. Yeah. It was on another podcast that Josh was on, and. We did that. It was really weird. We were just noticing that the other day while prepping for this. Like, hey, man, this is almost a year to the day. Yeah, and I think...
What was the podcast on?
all kinds of movies.
Oh, just horror movies in general?
Actually.
Yeah, we were just we mostly talked about Leslie Vernon because I just turned him on to that one.
Yeah,
because it's like, oh man, you got to check this one out.
If you have not seen that movie, go check it out.
Which
it's
one
for free on YouTube.
Yeah, Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
Yeah, it's 100% the full movie. The guy that created it, he put the whole movie up on YouTube, so you don't even have to pay for it. It just you can get on there and watch it.
I think you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great
It's the one about the film crew is going and they're documenting a guy who's an admitted slasher. No. This is the one where it's a girl and two guys, her camera crew, and they're doing a documentary about a man who's an admitted slasher.
They have a little Volkswagen bus.
Yeah. It's Leslie Vernon. It's the 30th anniversary of his death and everything. He's coming back and everything. Yeah. Except like he's a Jason or a Freddy type.
Yeah.
And they're documenting what his comeback and killing people is going to be.
Exactly.
And it's a really well done movie that has a twist that you're not really expecting. And just
follow him around, showing him how he's setting everything up.
I remember that. I remember the movie now.
The cinematography is really good because it goes from the lost footage style of the documentary crew and their cameras to actual full blown
horror movie,
AAA horror movie quality film, like filming, and then backing into the shaky cam stuff. So like you're seeing the parts where he's actually becoming a killer and like stalking people and doing things like you're seeing that in straight like, okay, here's a Friday the 13th style movie, and then boom, all of a sudden it's back to the girl and like, do you see him? Where's he at? What's going on? And like back to the shaky cam. So it's really good. It's really well done the way they did it, and the story itself was really well done. It's one of those movies that didn't get very much talking about, and it should have.
What I like about it is one of the scenes in that movie is when the killing actually starts at night at the house, when they're up in the room, and he's like, all right, you guys wait here. And he goes out, and you can hear him just taking care of business, you know? And like, they're just in there like, holy shit, he's actually doing it, you know? Like, what'd you think? Like, you followed this guy around setting this shit up. Like, this is going down, man. Yeah.
It's great even because, like, the guy that played Leslie Vernon, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he does such a good job in that movie because there's towards the beginning when they're going to scare his chosen girl, his survivor girl, as they put it. Yeah. She's taking out the trash, and he's like setting up trash, and they're going through it like he's like getting all happy, like a little kid getting ready for Christmas kind of thing, talking about this trap he's setting up, and like, she's going to be walking out here, they're going to pull this thing, and she's going to hear the noise and just see me sitting in it. It sets it up all perfectly. And then, boom, it transitions. It goes from that documentary crew to, like, boom, you're seeing this horror movie scene of this girl setting out the trash late at night at her job and everything. And then there's this dude with this crazy-looking mask standing there with a knife. And
dude.
It's such a well-made movie. It just did not get enough credit at all.
Absolutely. Like I said, if you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Yeah, it's free on YouTube. There's zero excuse not to watch it.
Yeah, and the chick that plays that girl that you were just talking about is smoking, man.
Yeah.
And they have a hilarious scene in that movie with her. Yeah.
Nathan Basel is who plays Leslie Vernon.
Yeah. And he did an amazing job in that flick. Yeah. Honestly, it was an award-worthy performance on his side.
Oh, absolutely.
It really was.
Yeah.
I know it's a horror movie, but he... vastly underrated movie. He did an amazing job at that.
And that's right. It had Freddy Krueger in it too.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Robert Englund. It didn't have Freddy Krueger in it.
Well, ironically he plays the good guy basically. Yep. He kind of plays the Van Helsing kind of type character in that movie. So it's kind of it's a fun departure. They've got him in there, and he's not playing a bad guy like he normally does.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Check that one out.
For once, he's the good guy.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, it's been fun, man.
Yeah, man.
I like doing these episodes. Absolutely. They're a lot of fun.
It's always fun talking horror movies.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to do it sometime soon, man.
Sounds good, man.
Awesome. All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of In the Round. We will see you next week. Everybody, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and go watch something scary, man.
Spook yourself.
Yep. We'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.